Well, hello everyone. This is an alternative to a blog talk radio show that Marie and I were going to do, and I will talk about that. Marie will share her experiences with that in a few minutes. But I'm just going to start with the beginning of our show. Today is Wednesday, October 18th, when we are starting this. So I want to say welcome to Heal My Voice, a show that is dedicated to providing information and engaging in conversations that support women, listening to their inner voice, reclaiming personal power, reconnecting to their inner authority, empowering women through the healing of their voices. That is our mission. Well, my name is Andrea Hylen. I am the founder of Heal My Voice, and today I am joined by Ek Lipanovska, the founder of Heal My Voice Sweden, and we are going to have a conversation about the stories that we wrote for Innovative Voices, True Stories by Women Awakening a New World. I want to say a few things before I bring Marie on for a little more of a discussion. In the Heal My Voice projects, we create environments for empowering women and girls to heal a story in their life and to connect with their inner authority and innate wisdom. This is the wisdom they were born with that has been covered up by trauma, grief, loss, and change, and even experiences where they were told to sit down and shut up. The subtle ways our voices have been turned down. We believe healing an old story leads women to a richer expression of their unique gifts and leadership and gives them access to all of their wisdom. I want to direct you to the healmyvoice.org website, where you can find online writing programs, resources, books by Heal My Voice and Heal My Voice Sweden. And in 2018, we're beginning a 3-year celebration of all of the books, and there will be study guides to go with the books. So I encourage you to go to healmyvoice.org for that. Now, this is the third of 7 radio shows highlighting the contributing authors leading up to the launch of the book, Innovative Voices, True Stories by Women Awakening a New World. This is the completion of a 9-month process where women went deeply into a story from their past to explore a personal awakening. And the radio shows and the conversations are a way for each of us to speak about the experience as we integrate the things we learned into our day-to-day life. So I want to just shine a light on this word, innovation. When you hear the word innovation, what or who do you think of? Do you think of a famous inventor or entrepreneur? Do you think of a leading edge Fortune 500 company or a startup? Do you think about a Nobel Peace Prize winner? Well, I want to ask you the question, do you ever think of yourself? Or the woman you are standing next to in the grocery line? The woman who is running an online business? The woman who is playing with her child at the playground? There is an inspirational TED Talk called The Art of Innovation, and Demis Michailidis describes 3 ways to innovate. The first way is radical or breakthrough innovation, like landing a man on the moon. The second way is redefining the way something in existence operates and having a new idea, like IKEA. Furniture has been around for a long time, but IKEA manufactures furniture in a very differentiated, innovative way. But the third way is often overlooked, and that is continuous improvement, lots of small change, all the time. And that is how we awaken a new world as innovators, every day, moment by moment decisions and choices. So as I invite Marie into this conversation, the one thing that I want to say is that Marie and I have done many, many radio shows together and separately. We love Blog Talk Radio. And the other day, we were going to do a show introducing this idea of innovation, and we ran into technical difficulties. There were upgrades of systems. There were Wi-Fi challenges. And so we spent time looking at different ways that we could have a conversation, that we could share the information, that we could be two authors on a show together. So Marie, I want to invite you into this conversation to just share what you want to about that experience of the breakdown we had that led to discussions and new ideas.
The interesting thing is when you really want to connect to someone, you will find a way. I love doing radio. I love doing radio together with you. And I prepared myself, I live in the countryside, the Wi-Fi is. So I felt, okay, I will go over to my daughter and I will have you in the best hi-fi, the Wi-Fi. And I guess I'm technical. I'm good at, creating websites and blog talk radio shows and stuff. But my software is not updated. So all my assumptions were right, like, oh, it will be no problem. I have the great Wi-Fi and I will just push a button and then I will be on the blog talk radio. Except my software, and I didn't give up, I kept listening to you and the show during, the the program, and I was downloading Viber on my cell phone, and I was picking the iPad from my daughter. It was like I did everything I could for 30 minutes and realized, no, it is not meant to be. Why? I don't know. It will show up. But what it did was, first of all, I could lean into the desire of connection. I felt like I want to do radio shows, but at the moment I can't because my Wi-Fi is not reliable and I don't have the software. But I want to do a show. So we came up with the idea, okay, let's do the Zoom call. And maybe that's the time, to show up our faces, not just be a voice on the radio. So this is, and when we had the conversation afterwards, I felt like that this opened a door. This is our next step as leaders in Heal My Voice and Heal My Voice Sweden. And it opened the door for a new co-host in the first radio show. So it became an opportunity for all of us. So I'm excited.
Well, and I want to say that it really is a very foundational piece of Heal My Voice and Heal My Voice Sweden, is that we've created a container for stories to bubble up and emerge, but we also stay in the curiosity and wondering of what is possible or what new thought or idea will be revealed. Even what story will bubble up. I know I've had moments where I think I'm going to write a certain story, but this other story is there, and it's either connecting through music or something else. And so where do we hold on so tight that something has to be a certain way? And even the day that we were going to do the show, when you couldn't get on, I kept checking within for my own intuition, my own guidance, saying, okay, do we just cancel the show? Do I delete it? And everything said, no, keep going. So I was, it was a show I was prepared to, in a sense, play tennis with you, where we go back and forth in the conversation. And then it was like, okay, I've arrived at the tennis court and there's no one to volley back. So I'm going to pull out a few rabbits out of my hat and just keep the show going, and then decide to end it at 30 minutes versus an hour, and just lay the foundation. Because it's like, sometimes the train is moving. You just got to keep going, do the best you can. And yeah. Okay. So I was like, is there anything else I need to say about that I want to say about that? But as you also demonstrated, was as a breakdown, and that happens for innovation, whether you're an inventor or you're an idea creator, or you're a woman standing in line at the grocery store with a new idea, you start to look at, okay, this isn't working. What are the options? And the other thing I want to say before we switch into you being the author and me being the host of the show, so we highlight your story, is that one of the things we looked at was the resources we had available: Zoom, instant teleseminar, Blog Talk Radio, to name a few. And then what were the file extensions, so that we'd see what we could upload in different ways. And so this is a beginning of trying a few different things, and knowing that we can record a show in advance and then upload it. So as we post this on YouTube, I invite people to write in your comments of different ways that you have used technology, and let's get a conversation going. Also, what do you use for podcasts or for recording conversations between people? All right. Anything else before we switch to the author?
No.
Okay. All right. I'm going to read then a little bit of your bio. So in this show, I am now the host, and Marie is now the author, and we're going to hear about her story. But before we do that, I just want to say, this is the bio that she has in the book. My name is Marie, and I am a mother of 3 children. My lifestyle is meditative, sensual, and graceful. I am devoted to God, and I find peace and joy in doing His will for me. Evangelization and meditation are my contributions to our beautiful world. Through books, live talks, and YouTube, I pass forward my personal gifts of faith, hope, and love. And you'll be able to see all of the websites here, ways to connect with Marie, because they're in the description of the show page here. So I'm not going to, but healmyvoicesweden.com is the sister of healmyvoice.org. And you can see Marie's website and also her YouTube link there. And Marie, I love your bio so much, because it really does land into what are the priorities in your life. And I also want to say that I am so grateful that when you had your own experience with Heal My Voice, that you saw the value in it, and that you picked up the baton and spread it into Sweden. And I'm forever grateful, because that is the way we awaken a new world, and your gifts are many. So I thank you, and I turn it over to you to read your story or tell us about your story, whatever would best serve you.
Thank you for all your kind words.
Mm-hmm.
I read through my story, and we have done this before, but I felt, no, this time I will not share a piece of my story. I want to look at the bigger picture of my story. But I wrote something else, just to have, as a foundation for a conversation, because I want a conversation. I will not share a part of my story in this book, Innovative Voices. That would be like offering the listeners the paper wrapped around a gift. It would say nothing about the value and content. But I want to talk about the title of my story. Pain has a purpose and a story to tell. And I want to talk about the light, seeing God in everything. And I want to talk about how I wish I was a bitch sometimes. So I have those 3 bullet points. And I would like for us, more to have a conversation around this. This is the 5th story that I have written in the Heal My Voice book. It feels like a completion.
Could you give us some of the big picture of your story then, and to whether it's about the title or whatever you feel inspired to share?
The bigger picture, I think, the title holds the bigger picture, that pain has a purpose and a story to tell. That's the whole journey with Heal My Voice. Finding that pain has a purpose. I can have a wound and I can neglect that wound and walk around or walk through life with pain and suffering. Or I can heal my wounds and then I can share, the gratitude, the insights, the wisdom from that wound. So I really love my own story or my own title because it says so much. Pain has a purpose,
Well, let me ask you this then. What is the purpose of pain?
The purpose of pain, I think, is, first of all, to understand how vulnerable and fragile we are as humans. Connecting to my own wound also comes with wisdom about how to heal, how to witness, and after have been participating and leading 5 book programs, it has been like standing on the edge of a woman's wound, listening to the story. Sexual abuse, addiction, death of a child, abortion, divorce, whatever, it's a story. And being a witness for the women and being witnessed in my wounds, I had many, has opened my heart for the, I don't know, it's a deeper love for women than I thought I could have. So the pain has 2 purposes for me. One, to realize I need God. I cannot heal without God. I need His love. That's, the power to heal comes from love. The other purpose is to use that love to love others so that they can heal. Empathy you get from your wounds. Having wounds, being with your wounds. Empathy, compassion, to be gentle with people. So the purpose is really to connect inwards to God, to the source that can heal me, and to connect outside of me. To not be afraid of people that are suffering. Knowing that I cannot heal them. But I can be with them. I can hold their hand or something. I can listen without judgment. That's the key. Don't judge. Don't try to fix and don't judge.
Yeah.
And as my title says, pain has a purpose and a story to tell. I love the real stories, you know. If it's about a woman, if it's a story from your life or a story from a, you know, in the Bible, I love stories, the true stories. I want to hear them. I can learn from them. I don't have to experience everything on my own, thank God. But I can listen to another person telling a story, and I can carry that wisdom with me. Many times, you know, it's almost like I have all the files in my head or my heart with all the stories that I have heard from women telling me, you know. And sometimes when I have a conversation with a person that I don't know, and they tell me something about grief, I always think of you. And it's like, okay, Andrea lost a brother, a husband, a son, you know. Okay, there's the hope. And then I can hold on to your story, knowing that it is possible to move forward. It is possible to survive and thrive. So, and you know, I have stories about addiction and codependency and children dying. So, you know, it's almost like I have a boxes of tools for conversations that are real and deep. Not my stories, but all the women's stories. So.
I just love everything that you're saying. There were a couple of things that came up for me. One is that having been involved with so many stories of women also holding that space for the story is that what I've noticed is that we start with having armor around our story. We start by telling it in a way that it looks good, we look good, it has a certain image. It may even be like, I want to be a great writer. So, you know, it's like all these different things. I've experienced this in my own writing. I've seen it in other women. But there's a point where going back in and back in and back to that same story, reading it over and over, maybe writing down all the pain, writing the anger, writing the frustration, writing the blame. And by the cycle of really working with the pain like it's a ball of clay, the other thing that I've seen is that there's a point where it cracks open, like the armor starts to come off and the vulnerability is present. And our piece in that exploration, whether it's like, oh, I chose to act this way in that situation, and here's where I got free. That, first of all, the pain, being willing to really feel it, cracks us open to the essence of who we are. And I've also noticed that there's always a point when a woman has been processing and writing her story where you can feel the story come into some completion. It's like the rose opening. You know, you have the bud, but then the rose is opening. And I feel in that moment when I read a woman's story, like I am so in love with her. I fall so deeply in love with her. Like, to me, that's where we really get to the true essence, when we can feel that love for another woman's journey, you know. And I even noticed it the other day. I was watching a new film that Jane Fonda and Robert Redford are in. I can't remember the name of it. It's a really powerful film in the United States. It's on Netflix. And there's a moment where Jane Fonda, it's right in the beginning of the movie, she's asking Robert Redford, both of them have been widowed for a long time. She says she's lonely at night and she would like someone to sleep with her, just to be in the bed. And she asks him that. And in that vulnerability, oh my gosh, I was so in love with her. I thought, oh, that vulnerability, that boldness to ask something, not knowing how the response is going to be, being so clear in your desire. And to me, that comes out of the pain. Like, how am I going to now take action in my life with this?
Yeah, I want to jump in there.
Yeah, do it.
It's like, it's almost like if you see going from pain to purpose, there is a point in the middle. It's like you transform pain into power, and then you use that power for purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't heal a wound, if you go around with pain, it's like it just eats you up from the inside and out. So when you really heal something, you go from having a wound to being vulnerable. You go from needy to having a need. You know, I need this and I need this, but you're not needy. Mm-hmm. So the healing is, it comes with liberty. It comes with power. It comes with, the freedom of knowing that, I can be myself. I will not suddenly fall down into a wound because I have healed the wounds. And being in a community and a writing program as Innovative Voices, when the women share a story, it's almost like they put their hand in my stomach and then they pull something out of me. Like, what are you doing in my body? We are so interconnected. So I love healing within a community that is safe, because they will do the work for me.
Yeah.
A lot of things I don't have to, I don't have to do that. I take care of my big wound, you take care of your big wound, and then you heal mine. My big wound will heal your small wounds. Mm-hmm. So, and I also believe that first of all, it changes your whole life when you're not longer afraid of telling the truth. It's like, this is how it happened. This is what it was. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh my God, that feels light. Mm-hmm. Instead of holding all the energy of, I can't, this is my secret, I don't want to share. And realizing that within this community that I can share anything and I will not be abandoned. They will not turn their back, on me and say, oh no, why did you do that? So the non-judgment. Mm-hmm. And that leads over to my second bullet point, the light. When you have leaned into your own wounds, when you're ready, to feel, heal, and deal, mm-hmm. then you realize that at least for me, in my deepest wounds are my deepest gifts. My biggest gifts are in my deepest wounds. Mm-hmm. I have found out things about myself that I didn't know. I said yes to Empowered Voices in 2011, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I go back and look at who was Marie in September 2011, she was a very, very wounded woman.
Mm-hmm.
There was codependency. I have all the walls up. My voice was hard and masculine and like, I was really in my masculinity. I believed in God, but I was afraid to say that I am a Christian.
Mm.
I was disconnected from the woman in me, who is my biggest strength. So just like you said, by going back and back and back and back, it's like, is there more? And I'm like, yeah, okay, back once more.
Yeah.
I have found, that I can say, okay, I'm a Christian. I'm an evangelist. I'm a woman. I love being a woman. I also love my masculine, but the feminine, the vulnerability, the sensuality, the grace, I love her. I was unable to say that.
Mm-hmm.
So you came with almost like God sent you.
Mm.
He knew what I had in front of me, like she will lose everything. She needs someone to hold on to.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and we all become teachers for each other, just as you said, that's part of our sharing our stories and being there and seeing that someone's a step or two ahead, and then changing places, because then you're the one who's a step or two ahead. It's like we dance in that way. Yeah.
And it's also, I was going to say
Yeah.
one more thing. And when you have realized that in the deepest wounds and in the real pain, you will find a gift. Then it's not hard to hold space for a woman going deep, because there will be light.
Yes.
In that darkest place, there will be light. So I have learned from the 6 years together, really to see God in poverty and in abundance, in health and in sickness, in good and in evil. I have really learned how to see that God is within everything.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. Really I have the experience now, a full body experience of He will always be there. And I will always have a handful of women that I can reach out to, that can just, stay with me in this deep process of, oh my God, my soul, my body, my whole system is like, screaming out of pain, and that is such a gift. And my story is about God's wrath, His anger. So I have also found out that God is not just that nice. He also has a wrath that can break through walls.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Whatever it takes to wake us up.
Yeah.
And to connect to us, that if we don't see it, God's love will come through in all kinds of ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And therefore sometimes I wish, at least, that, as I said, I wish I was a bitch sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because
claim that part of you. Yes.
Yeah. Because anger is the emotion that I still have to navigate and try to, how can I be with anger without, doing someone something harmful?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I wish I could have that connection with anger. I remember, I just want to tell you the last little story about why I want to be a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
And that was when I got the question once. I was talking about Heal My Voice, Sweden, and, asking someone do you want to, be a part of this? Do you want to contribute in some way? And that person said, what's in it for me?
Mm.
And in that moment, I just felt like, ooh, I just want to be mean. And I remember I got the question, why should I support you in building your brand? And I was just like, are we on the same planet? And I wanted to, sometimes we wish we have the right words in that moment, but then when we leave the conversation, we know exactly what we should have said. And I wanted to say to her, because your story matters. Because her story matters, and that includes you. So I just want to end my author's space with these words, because I wanted to tell that woman, you will never be able to pay for what you get in this program. Because more than 200 women from all over the world, walking in truth, willing to feel, heal, and deal, is a treasure no one can afford to buy. No one can be kind or good enough to earn this. It is a gift. And a yes to that gift is a personal statement saying, me is a very tiny part of a very large we. How can I contribute to this movement of women awakening a new world?
Mm. Beautiful. I can feel like 3 or 4 more conversations in depth with what you were sharing. But yeah, when is it about?
It's 10 o'clock.
When is it about me and what is it about we? Oh, my little computer told me the time. I thought I had turned everything off, but not that one. Okay, so I guess that's the announcement. We're going to switch gears here. And
so I want to introduce you.
Okay, I just wanted to say, though, is there anything you want to say to people about your YouTube or what's on your website, or are there any invitations you have? I know that all of the links are here in the bottom of the YouTube version of this Zoom call, because I'll be putting all of those there. But is there anything you want to shine a light on?
Go to my blog, because I post every day about Women of the Day. These amazing women in this 10th book program. If you understand Swedish, go to my YouTube channel. I do my very personal Bible studies. And today I shared about how you can deepen your spiritual, reading with creating funny stuff. So it's very personal. So otherwise, no.
Okay. Otherwise, click on the links and see what you see there.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you feel complete for now?
Yeah. Thank you for shining the light on me.
Yes. Yes. All right. So I'm handing off my host hat to you, and being the author.
Oh, how am I supposed to introduce you, Andrea? It's impossible. Let's see. I remember how you came up to me in Boulder, Colorado in September 2011 and asked me if we could have breakfast together the next morning. And I said yes. And when we sat down the next morning, you showed me a book, Conscious Choices. And you told me that you had a book program that was called Fearless Voices. And now you asked me to participate in the second book program, Empowered Voices. And from the moment you said, heal my voice, and you shared, how it were, supposed to, it was an online program and stuff. And I just felt this, the big heart, the whole body heart. I want to be a part of this. Mm-hmm. What I didn't know was that it would save my life, heal my life, give me soul sisters, a best friend, heal, my codependency, allow me to step into who I am, do 240 radio shows because I was inspired by you on Blog Talk Radio. And learning so much about the inner wisdom with women. And I never knew that there was a woman on this earth who really loved women from. So with your yes, you started a movement that you still don't understand the depth of. You have no idea what you have done. You don't have no idea how many women that you have hold space for so that they can heal, prosper, thrive, and step out as themselves in their families, communities, businesses. I still don't understand how I can have you as a friend. And I thought these kind of super women looked a certain way, acted a certain way. And then I realized it is a normal woman, with a big, big heart. With the courage to say yes when God is calling into service. And what I also want to highlight is, since I'm a Christian and I love, the Christian history with the martyrs and the saints, you have an aspect of what all of them also had. The willingness to let go of everything. The willingness to, have no home to live in. To find a new solution. I don't know any other woman around me. I don't know a man, actually, that has done that. That willingness to really serve a greater purpose. So however, I'm trying to find words, but actually whatever I say, it's just not enough. You're so much more than you understand. And this is just the beginning. So if I want to tell all of you that are watching this or listening, if you're looking, for some kind of famous celebrity, doing the big or the real, the ones really serving, you never know about. Never. Because they never shine the light on themselves. They always shine on, like you, on the women or another purpose. So you are, thank you. Cosmic Mother, Andrea Hylen.
Thank you. That's beautiful. I appreciate your words, and I'm breathing them in. I feel like it's one of the places for us all to, as women in particular, to practice receiving. Having a moment, reminding ourselves. So I wrote another word down, the courage to say yes. I think that's another conversation that we will have someday. We have many days, but it's like we'll do something formal. Thank you. Thanks for taking the time to reflect that and to remind all of us. Yes.
Andrea Hylen, you are the only author with a story in every book.
Yes, I do. I know. It's been
because you have a story in the Swedish books. And so you are the only author, co-author of every Heal My Voice books.
Yes. So, I'll segue into that and then I'll read some of my story. But one of the reasons that I decided to write a story in every book was because it helps me stay connected to the process. It helps me keep my heart open. And because every project has a little bit of a different flavor because of the words, this was innovation, that different things show up. And so it's like being willing to be in that mystery with everyone and say, oh, that's what's happening here. Okay, I understand what the women are saying. I'm feeling it myself with my own story. And to remind ourselves that every time we write a story, it doesn't matter if you're a New York Times bestselling author, you have doubts that you'll be able to do it again, or you have vulnerable moments like, oh, how will this be received? And that's part of stretching and growing.
And there is also another aspect of that, because what I feel that when you share a story also as a leader, you participate,
Yeah.
You do not step out of the group and say, this is not, I'm the leader. You're leading, together with the other women. So it's another kind of leadership. So that is also one of the things you have showed, another kind of leadership, a feminine leadership. I can also participate.
It's the circle versus the hierarchy of I'm better than you are. It's like, no, I'm in it with you.
Yeah. And you have also showed us that as a leader, you can also be vulnerable. You have your story. Your life is going on. Things are happening.
Yes.
So it's a very healthy leadership because it allows you to be you.
Thank you.
So you have paved the way in many ways.
So we'll continue that ripple effect as we each use our unique gifts to awaken a new world.
So what is the title of your story?
Okay, so the title of my story is Free Your Mind, Live Your Normal Life. So I'm going to read a couple of the paragraphs now. Morpheus, I'm trying to free your mind, Neo, but I can only show you the door. You're the one that has to walk through it. From The Matrix. There was a photo of me when I was 3 years old. I am on a rocking horse with my wispy blonde hair flying from the motion. I have a look on my face of serious determination. Looking straight ahead, I am all in, wild, focused, committed to the experience. I feel my essence in that photo. Yeehaw! Ride 'em, cowgirl. Life is an adventure. I am alive. I have spent my life losing, searching, and finding the little girl on the rocking horse. She was raised in a home with loving parents and relatives and teachers during the 1960s. She received daily messages, subtle and direct, with expectations of who she was supposed to be in the world. The role of a good daughter, wife, and mother. She experienced the death of a brother when she was 4 that changed her life. After his death, she felt responsible for other people's emotions and happiness and made that a priority. Other ingredients were added to her human experience. She was born into a family with a lineage of alcoholism and workaholics with unhealed emotional wounds. The image of Leave It to Beaver family perfection, conditioned with what will the neighbors think, and being uprooted to attend new schools because of her father's job promotions. The little girl learned how to behave properly, not cause any problems for her parents, and keep her opinions and feelings to herself most of the time. The plan for her life was based on what she saw in her family. Go to college, get a job, get married, work hard, have kids, buy a house, raise your kids, do good in the world, travel, be a nice person, help others, retire, volunteer, die. Not a bad vision for a life, except for one thing. The circumstances of her life did not present themselves in a nice, neat little box. She had very few tools to help her navigate rough waters and feelings and new ideas. And the way she saw the world was different than the way she was raised. Following in the footsteps of those who came before her was killing her spirit. She had to forge her own path. So I'm going to stop with that, but I want to say a few other things about my story. I really decided with this story to start this intro, to start the beginning as a third person, like as someone who was observing this little girl and painting this picture of actually, oh, it's funny. I actually, here I'm pet sitting, but I do have the picture. This is me, that little girl. And so I was, as an adult, looking at her life as a little girl. But then after this section, I switch into first person, and I really talk about, throughout the story, this connection to discovering my essence and the little girl on the rocking horse. And this conflict throughout my whole life. I mean, I still, I don't struggle with it. I'm just still aware of the discomfort at times. I'm 61 now. And it's this desire to belong to my family and to see how much love there is in the family, but also understanding that in the dysfunction, that I have to go through these times where I just pull away to go on this path of discovery myself. And I talk about that in the story, things that I have experienced in my life that I would have loved my family to have gone on that ride with me of what that was. And it's just that we're different. We're different people. I experience life in a different way. And then finding my way back for connection and kind of talking about it after I've experienced something. And so there were a couple things that came that I want to just share about my story. This is a story that in some ways I've known for a long time. But when this picture showed up and I started looking, I thought, this is the one I want to really explore. I want to take out the microscope. I want to put this story under a microscope and look at the different layers. And when I first started writing it, I had so much anger that came up. And I was like, whoa, where's this anger? So I would walk my daughter's dog for like a half an hour every morning, and I would just be like angry at people, and I'd be saying it out loud, and I was just like, get it up. Like, what is it? And then underneath, I discovered the sadness, and then I discovered the confusion. And through that, I pieced the story together to really talk about all along the way, finding my way back to my essence over and over again. But learning that through the codependency that is there, that I've learned to set boundaries. And so I was able to see some of the gifts that, because of feeling like I didn't fit in at times. And I'm sure many of us feel that in our families, that we feel different. And I'm sure my sister feels that way. My brother feels that way, in their own way, that they have their differences. The other piece that I wanted to share is that I know that Heal My Voice became a mission for me because I saw emotional wounds of my mother. And I saw that there wasn't a place for her to feel them, for her to talk about them. And I saw how, even in the powerful warrior woman she is, I saw how that turned down her light, turned down her voice. I saw where she would apologize for having a big voice, or being a bitch when she's standing up for something, for us, for, whatever that is. But it's that the death of my brother happened when I was 4, and it was in the 1960s. And my mother had to just soldier on. She had 2 small children. Because of my dad's job, we moved from Minnesota to Virginia, and then a year later moved to Texas. And she didn't have a place. She didn't have a circle of women to talk about the pain that was there. And so all of these emotional wounds, all of this emotional pain has been bottled up into a way that I would say, for women, that it looks like depression at times. It's like we just stuff all those feelings down, and it turns down our voices, but it also turns down our hope, our joy, our love, because we're holding on to so much pain. In order to really expand into joy, you have to be able to feel sadness, pain, anger, and give permission for all feelings. It expands your whole body system. All right, so that's what I've got for that. Do you have any reflections or thoughts about that?
Yeah, one of the things, I have a lot of thoughts. Just like you said, it's like you saw what it did to your mother. And you felt what it did to you. And therefore you created that safe space. And how the Heal My Voice has been like a place where you empty out all the emotions, and realizing that this is not just mine. This is oh my God, I have my fathers and mothers and siblings and ex-husbands, and like, oh, where am I?
Yes.
And then connecting back to that inner child who is sensitive, who uses her, emotions to navigate. She is the inner authority. She is the intuition. So just like you said, it's amazing to be a witness and understanding that your history, your life, led up to this big mission of holding space for women. And at the same time, God saw like, okay, but she has also, stuff to work with. So how can I learn, how can I teach her to hold the space and heal herself at the same time as she's holding space for the other women to heal? And it's interesting to see that you were probably the first woman in Innovative Voices that brought forward your inner girl. And suddenly it was like we were in kindergarten. Right. There were kids all over the place.
Yeah.
But not the wounded child. That's a big difference. That's what we have healed. The wounded inner child. And I feel that in this last book program, we have gone beyond the wounded inner child to the chamber of the inner child that is the essence. And when you talked about her, and when I saw the picture, it's like, that's how you have led Heal My Voice book programs. Yeah, let's go for a ride. I don't know where we're heading, but let's go for a ride. So it feels like that is the part of you that has actually led the program, her. And when you share the piece with, this is what I was supposed to do, blah blah blah, get married, blah blah blah, and die. That felt like, yeah, but that's the process too. That is also what you have done. So now she can just like walk, I'm free. What's the next step? Let's grab my horse and go for a ride.
Yes.
So when I heard you, line up the expectations of life, it also felt like, but maybe that is the It's almost like we live a human life and then we live a spiritual life. So first we do all the human things, go to school, get married, get kids, work, blah, 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 blah. And then you have, the second round. And then you step into, to the spiritual path. And you have all this experience. So it feels like Heal My Voice has been also a transition for you.
Oh, it has been. And it's given me a place to go back throughout my life and to see places where that little girl was like, okay, I don't want to raise kids like this. I want to do it this way. And so I did. So all along I've made different choices on it, but it is the essence of the little girl. The thing that I want to go back through as you were talking about the inner child was one of the things that we discovered in the writing during this Innovative Voices was how innovation really comes from the essence of the child. Innovation comes from the child who is curious, who has wonder, who has their imagination alive. And by writing, we were going back and connecting the dots back to that essence and then in a sense smoothing out the road so that we can tune back in all the time, that we're connected with her, that she's just like filled with the essence of who she is, whatever that is. What is her delight? This morning I took the dog for a walk. I am pet sitting in Venice for 2 weeks while we're doing the radio shows, and this is my stable location. And this family is in the UK, visiting their family while I'm here. But I was taking the dog for a walk, and I was so delighted with everything that was happening just on the walk. I passed a woman who has a dog that the two dogs aren't quite sure about each other. And so every morning we pass and we say, oh, good morning and have a nice day. And I could just feel like how filled up I was from that, like seeing someone who I've now run into 3 or 4 times while I've been here. And then a man went by on his bicycle and I said, good morning. And he, oh, good morning. And I thought, oh, I love my life. And, and I was just like passing people who were jogging or going to somewhere else. And I was noticing the trees and I saw a hummingbird around one of the flowers. And it was like, oh, that's like, that's the essence of me, is being able to connect in that way with life and people. And by writing the story and even putting words to it by saying, this is me. Like, I like the mystery of life. And I had the beginning of a poem in my head where I was like, I want to be like the ocean with the waves coming in and going out. Not sure who's going to walk on the sandy path today, who I will cross, whose path I will cross. And it was like, that is. And so being able to reconnect to our inner child gives us the place of new ideas or living our lives the way that fills us with the most joy and happiness and connection, because we need connection and interconnectedness, that connection with ourselves and the connection with others. Like, it was a richer walk because, first of all, I had this sweet little Pedro dog who I was walking, and then the people whose paths that I crossed for a moment of connection, and then back to the connection with myself. And then, another person, a piece of some nature, back to the connection to myself. So I know we're ending the time, kind of coming to the end here. Anything that you want to say or reflect on in this inner child joyfulness?
Yeah, I just want to say that just like what you were talking about now, how you connect inwards and then you step out into the life and woo. And the book programs is the same thing. You connect inwards within the group. Oh, this is the safe place. I found a new piece of myself. And then you step out into the world, and sometimes you back into the safe place. So and that is a way also to strengthen that essence. Having someone witnessing, like, this is me, and people saying, yay, more of Andrea. Because it's not always, on the outside, it's not always cheerleaders that we meet on our walk. So
right.
So I just want to point out also the work that you have done. With your willingness to go so deep into yourself is the foundation for us, to be willing to go deep. So it's a personal journey for each and every one of us. But we have also gone very deep in the sisterhood. The healing of the relationship between women.
Yes.
So instead of, gossiping or, competing and being jealous, it's about collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
So this program that you started and the books you have held, made possible for us is also, it's healing the relationships between women.
Absolutely.
And I have heard so many of the women, saying that this has an effect on their marriage, the relationship to their mother,
mm-hmm.
and their father, and their husband, and their children, and their, in their business. So it's like, it's a movement.
Yes, absolutely.
So when your willingness, you're like the stone in the middle of the center, Every time you're willing to go deep, the ones that want to be in this movement, for me, for example, I have the effect of your willingness. And I can either lean into that and go, okay, Andrea's going deep, let's dive together.
Well, and it's an example of how we can all impact each other. That it would be, my work would be nothing if I didn't have women who said, I'll go there with you. I'll go on the ride with you. So each of us, we may start a dance. There's a video of someone starting a dance in a field at a concert, but it's when the second person comes in and starts dancing with them, the people start, oh, and then another person, and then it becomes that wave. And that's really what it is. We all are inspired with different ideas. We are all innovators. We're all looking at our lives and saying, wait, I feel like there could be a new way of doing this or a different way. But we need to jump in and play with each other. We don't need everyone sitting and witnessing, even though witnessing is part of it. So it's like subtle distinctions that are there and everything. All right.
I want to end with this.
All right. And say one more thing, and then I'm going to talk about the celebration about the book.
Because what you have learned, what you have taught us all, is that we can be messy without, losing our leadership or personal leadership. We can be, we have had the community calls where someone is very sad and someone is very happy. Things can coexist.
Yes.
So more than anything, I believe that you have shown us that things can coexist. Death and life, happiness and sadness. You can be an author and a leader. You can be like the inner wounded child and still be the leader. And you can be the essence of yourself. And, so the allowance of holding the space for everything, that is something huge. That is innovative and innovative leadership.
Well, I want to say one other thing about what you just said. You can be a leader and you can be a follower in the same group.
Yeah.
That's what allows leadership to rise. And that's why the circle is so important. Things that happened in this program were also because, yes, I was in the role of holding the container as a facilitator, but as women's leadership and their inspirations rose, it was, okay, let's try it that way. So it was like, you take the lead. It's the geese flying in formation and someone else goes to the front to lead. And it doesn't diminish my leadership to follow someone in the group.
No.
So that is also important, that as we're secure in ourselves, we can be leaders and followers in the same group. I appreciate your leadership and all that you have brought to this program. Ideas, innovation. It has enhanced and inspired us all.
I had a good teacher. I have a good teacher.
Yes. Well, we are teachers and students for each other. That's the other thing. All right. As you can see, Marie and I have a lot to share, a lot to talk about, and we will have other conversations. We'll see if we'll do this format again or we'll try some other things. Two things I wanted to say. One is that right now on the Heal My Voice page on Facebook, we are celebrating a woman of the day every day who has been a part of the Innovative Voices program. So that is happening, whether you're listening to this as soon as this is posted or you're listening to it a year from now, there are things that are there for you to learn about women and be inspired and to see the women in innovative voices. Marie has been writing a blog post every day about the women that is posted on Facebook, and it is posted on her blog, which is in this description here. So there's that. And then on October 27th, the book will be released on Amazon, and we're going to have an all-day celebration acknowledging all of the women authors. There will be some live events there, whether it's a Facebook Live or some live Zoom connections or radio shows. We're still in the process of allowing the actual voice to appear, what we're going to do. But October 27th, starting at 6 a.m. Pacific time. I'll be right now I'm in California, but I will be in Seattle for the book launch. So that's where Heal My Voice headquarters will be on that day. And then the other thing I want to say is that if you're inspired to spend some time writing and reflecting and you want to be part of a community, Beth Terrence and I are going to lead a 30 days of writing called Healing the Past, Embracing the Future, where we post a daily prompt that can be used for writing or reflection. We have a weekly Zoom call for anyone who wants to come live and be part of a conversation. It's, we usually come with a topic that's been surfacing in the group. There's a secret Facebook group. So if you want to do that, go to healmyvoice.org. And we're opening it for women and men during the month of November. So if you are interested in being part of the group, you can go there, sign up. There is a fee for being part of that program. Okay, that's what I've got. And we have the next few days, there's going to be Blog Talk Radio with more women authors, and there will be more. So anything else you want to say?
Yeah, I want to say that if you're not, one of if you don't feel like a writer, and if you don't want to write, if you don't want to be in a writing program, buy a book. Share the women's voices. Participate in the movement of bringing the stories written by women into the world. Give a book, buy a book, give it to a man or a woman, a father, a mother, That's the least thing, every one of us can do is buy a book as a gift or for yourself, because her voice matters.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. We will leave you with that. Thanks for being here. And I'll end the recording now.
Bye from Sweden.
Yes, that's right. Sweden and California on the call today.